Hey everyone, welcome to Soulfish. I am really glad you're here. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for hearing the messages. Thank you for the work you do on you. If you dig what you're vibing here, please subscribe. Join our community officially. Please comment. We love to hear your feedback, your points, insights. We're learning together here, and in that spirit, today is a good day for September's energy reading. Sometimes I do these before the month, and sometimes I do these during the month, because for me, it's not so much geared at whether it's the first or whatever in the Gregorian calendar. It's really geared at, for me, where is the energy flow at? What are the subtle breaks in the energy? We have hard breaks, like we've just experienced, where you had the ending of a story, the beginning of a new story. That's what we're in now. We're starting a new cycle right now. We're in it. We're at the beginning of it. And this new cycle is about a 2-year cycle in the way I read it. Within that 2-year cycle, there are subcycles. There are smaller waves that obviously help to gently nudge us towards the bigger destination. And understanding those little nudges, to me, are critical, because the little nudges are the things that bring out, the things that trigger, those are the things that bring out the negativity in you. And so understanding when those nudges are strongest, or particularly understanding that as you're working through particular issues, that certain times are more challenging to face when you're carrying what you're carrying. In other words, there's an ebb and flow to this. So we put out daily energy readings in the hopes that you find something useful to use in the day's energy, to use what it's triggering in you and what it's triggering in others, and how you might want to respond to that. So really, that's really about our practice all the time, right? And not in some sort of heavyweight burden kind of thing, but what I found, I was explaining to my son, and I said, what's interesting is sometimes even when you go into something not with the best of intentions, when you are a certain type of person, the spirit changes you. It changes in you, outside of you, outside in, so that it starts to eliminate in you as you begin to change yourself in small ways that you're not even aware of sometimes. Spirit changes you. The energy in you shifts. You shift up. And in shifting up, you don't think about a lot of the same things that you were thinking about. You don't go to the same tool bag. It's a different tool bag. And that's really your ascension. Those are prime examples manifested in the third dimension for you to see that, hey, you're making progress. So first and foremost, we're into a new full moon, right? This new cycle starts off with a full moon. Think about that. Think about the power associated with that. This is going to be a really amazing next 2 years. Strong energy, strong energy. So think about that as you are walking through the next few days here. You're going to find in this time with those around you in the way they operate, sometimes in the way that you're going to feel like you might want to operate, this kind of picking sides, real choices. It's kickball, you're on this team or that team. And there's some apprehension there about either you being picked last or you being picked on the wrong team. But it's a very black and white kind of scenario going on right now. You're going to find that. It's a time where there are quick manifestations. You're going to see this these thought / energy quickly manifests. It's a bad thought can become a bad thing quickly. A good thought can become a good thing very quickly. You could say, I want to change of a job, and then mention that tonight over dinner, and tomorrow somebody emails you with a job opportunity. Very much like that, like quick. Black and white, you're in, you're out. Pick your teams. It's very much, distilled down, not a lot of gray area. And this time of quick manifestations, which would make sense, right? Because if things are very much yes, no, 0, 1, on, off, then it would be very much quick manifestation. There's not a lot of gobbledygook in between. There's not a lot of uncertainty, right, in between. The choice isn't there. So even though you may like to operate in that space, as many of us do, the choice isn't there. So it's this real condensing of duality is what it feels like. In this time, for those of you who are sensitive, you're going to find that the veil seems to thin. You're going to see a lot of dark, swirling shapes around others, coming and going. That's what I'm noticing. Obviously, there's an impact to that. You'll notice behaviors. You'll notice, a lot of reacting. It's a lot of aggressive stuff. It's a lot of dark, aggressive, contracting kind of energy, right? But you'll start to see that the veil is thinning. It's a real, in my mind, a visual would be like you're holding that basket and that grain is, as you shake the basket, it's separating. And so the finer stuff is dropping to the bottom and leaving the top stuff. In our case, I think the top stuff is better than the bottom stuff. So, but it's very much like that. It's very much a sifting in that way. And again, very direct sifting, not a lot of gray areas. We're not talking about like you go into this bin and then you sift again and go into that bin. I mean, it's just kind of like big buckets. You're in or you're out. That whole big bunch of energy like that. Physically, you're talking about heebie-jeebies. You're talking about what feels like excess energy in you. I'm not sure that it really is that in you. I think it's more of a shakeup. Some relieving some toxins in some cases. Washing over others. It's almost like I guess it is an overfilling, I guess, in some ways. I kind of see it like a cup, where you keep pouring water in it. And so the stuff on the inside is still getting cleaned out just slower because, most of the water is bouncing off the top and then it's finally kind of working its way in over time. It's kind of like that. That's the heebie-jeebie feeling, right? What you have to do with that is to move that energy in the right place. So it's a lot of kind of like awareness time, I guess, is really in this space. So in this September energy, I guess I'm sharing in this to say, you're feeling this. Do you see? This is the part of the new beginning of your story. So on the flip side of these kind of symptomatic issues or what you're seeing happening, it can be a very, very positive time for lots and lots of folks. So what you're focusing in on as we're coming to the full moon and the start of this new cycle is, remember, it's less about story and more about intention, right? Story is of the mind. So it's really about the intention you're setting as the story begins, as the full moon comes to its zenith here. Think about what you want, because it can manifest very quickly in this time. This is a 2-year cycle. A lot can happen in 2 years if you allow it. You've done so much work to drop off so much stuff. This is a working time. This September to December, as we talk about subcycles, it's a working time. It's a working on you time, but it's like it's always a working on you time, right? Practicing your practice, but I mean more like in a substantial third dimensional way, like application kind of work. Like, here it is, now use it, practice it, actually do it. That kind of work. Not so much talk about it, let's not philosophize, let's not hold hands and sing kumbaya. Let's actually try to be a little bit less of an asshole today than we were yesterday. Use some of these techniques to do that. That's the work part, right? Is shifting what you would normally do. And once you change yourself, everything changes around you. And how amazing is that? And that's this time of quick manifestations of this kind of over emphasis of duality, of in, out, on, off, light, dark, becomes apparent with clarity. So use this time to move yourself forward in this cycle. And as we approach October, you'll really start to see the true beginnings. In other words, the manifestations, the door opening, the keys in your hand, of the car, of the house, of the whatever. In other words, it's there. It's happening. It's right there in front of you. So hang in there. Use this time. Get the rest of the old out. Make sure you're ready, because you're started. This is it. And we get to blast off together in these next 2 years. And let's make it rock. And until next time, much love.